Welcome back to the Juno podcast. Hello, Sharron.
Hello, Adam. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you, Sharron?
I'm very well too.
It's a bit of a special podcast today, so I'll let you sort of intro it.
We are welcoming, I say skincare royalty.
I say skincare
Priscilla.
royalty as well. Yeah, 100%.
I thought that was the word that sort of summed you up. So we're very, very excited to welcome founder, CEO of Bangn Body, Priscilla, to the Juno podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. That is very kind. My goodness. I don't think it's that level of royalty, but I'll take it. So thank you.
I think so.
I should have bought a crown.
I think obviously Priscilla's story is one that we've admired, and I think every person we talk to about Bangn Bodies, I mean, my wife is obsessed with it. So we've got pretty much all your product, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Creative, disciplined, warm. I mean, you've built a brand that engages with people. It's not just a product. It's a story, and that's probably what we love. It's a privilege to have you in here today, and we can ask some questions. And I mean, you can ask some questions of us if you want. but yeah, really, really excited to have you today.
Thank you.
So welcome. I mean, really, today is about everyone getting to know you a bit better. Obviously, there's a story behind Bangn Body that we're super keen to hear. We've probably heard parts of it before, but really keen to hear it today. And I guess for us, it's about more than what people see on Instagram, and sort of digging a little deeper in terms of who you are and what it took to actually get Bangn Body where it is today. So super excited to sort of delve a little deeper than perhaps we normally would, but super excited to hear the journey and hear where you've got to, from the start to where you are today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to share. So thank you for having me on.
So, I mean, how did it start? Like, give us the sort of the starting point. I know we're probably privileged, we've heard a little bit, but for everyone, give us the starting point. What was it?
So growing up, I wasn't as privileged as my peers to have, glowing skin that you could just use soap to, wash your face. I'm also a twin, and so I think that was even harder, that I had a direct reflection of clear glowing skin and she literally barely washed her face, and here I am just literally trying to figure my life out. And going through teenage years, it just got progressively worse. So I suffered with hormonal acne and eczema, which that does run in my family. My mum had hormonal acne until she was like 35 or 36, I think. Wow. Quite severe. And then eczema runs in my family from my grandmother all the way down to the generations. So I guess it was always a part of my life, but it was challenging that I just, could never find a solution that really worked or that I was happy using and then as I guess got older, the responsibility did start to lie with me in terms of taking care of my skin. Like I got a job, and I remember like getting my first job just to have money to be able to buy products just to try to fix my skin. That was literally all I could think about every single day. It was a really unhealthy addiction, which I realized. And it's something that I feel really bad and sad for everyone out there who is struggling in the same way I did, because you genuinely just think about that every day. And as sad as it is, like if I didn't look at myself in the mirror that day, I would actually feel my truest confident self. And as soon as I looked in the mirror, it would put me back into my shell.
Could you get through a day with not looking in the mirror? Was it like, did it become part of this thing where it's
I literally had to look in my mirror in the morning and try to cover, the concerns and the struggles, and then I would just try to avoid mirrors because I knew that it would dampen on my confidence and my ability to perform in my job or in my life. And I think that was just really, looking back, I feel so sad for that person because, people, I think the times are slowly changing, but back when I was, starting out, I was in retail and then I went into corporate, people are just looking at you for face value, like literally your face and you and who you are as a person, before they get to see your heart, they see your skin. And so, that was really incredibly challenging for me and something that I had to deal with. And, I cut out a lot of things as well because I thought it was, internal. So I was dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free to the extent that you can as a teenage kid. Just tried to battle with all of that. And then, I think as I started to dive into my career of working, you but you deal with stress, and that just took my acne to a whole new level. and severity.
And at that stage, you were working in a corporate role, weren't you?
Yeah.
You weren't one of the big corporate players.
Yeah.
So nothing to do with skincare at that stage, was it?
No. So I did value, hard work, and that was definitely instilled in me from a young age. And I guess climbing and working your way up the ladder was always like the traditional format of, being successful. Yeah. And my mum was an entrepreneur, and she did give us, not permission, but she did embrace us to try different things. Right. And I think that's what I really loved about her. But then my godmother, who is like a second mum to me, she's very much like cemented in, 9 to 5, having a job, having security, having 5 times backup. That was literally like, that was
a wartime story. Those that grew up in the war were like that.
Literally. Yeah. So I had these 2 views, and so, I just embarked on this career in project management through a big corp, and, I did feel really grateful for the opportunity. I learned a hell of a lot. I was one of the younger ones there at the time, and really kind of grew my skill set and my ability to perform under pressure with big sharks, and the resilience. And I guess, I did feel accomplished in those achievements, but I guess the fulfillment side and my creativity was not existent, because I couldn't use that in that type of work. Yep. And so, the stress was enormous, and the pressure to perform, and being a younger person, you've got a lot more to prove. And so by doing that, in turn, my skin just took on its own life, really. And that became something that I was literally like, I've never been a type of person to go, oh, it's 5 o'clock, I'm getting out of here. Like, I've always stayed behind. I've always worked to get the job done, like always pushed. But I would, even though I never clocked off at 5, I would dream about going home just to treat my skin. That's all I wanted to do. Yeah. I just wanted to treat my skin. I wanted to take my makeup off. I wanted to treat my skin.
Would you say that there was a stage where you were just obsessing over it?
For sure.
And it was just, would you say that it was sort of controlling you as opposed to you controlling
Absolutely.
it? Absolutely. Yeah, challenging.
It was insane. Thinking back, I remember every marketing, and that's why I think for me, like creating Bangn Body and the efficacy around the brand and the years and years of development to create a product that truly performs is really a part of the signature DNA of the brand and who I am as a person. Yeah. Because no matter what was spun to me of a marketing tactic of, reduce redness in this days, or, clear acne in this day, I would buy into it because I just wanted to fix my skin. And so next minute I have thousands of dollars spent, this money that I didn't really have, but any dollar that I made would just go to skincare. And then I became so obsessive about reading the back of the packaging and like if something slightly worked, why it worked and what ingredient did well. And if it flared me up, what was a no-go zone? So I just became this unaccredited formulator of understanding what ingredients were, what they did for my skin, being so incredibly temperamental, and then being able to, kind of separate all of that. But then I still had boxes and boxes and boxes of fields of skincare. And it was just, the wastage was enormous. The money down the drain was insane. The overwhelm was crazy, and the addiction was real. And so I think I remember one day waking up and I was like, this is so bad, like enough. Like I can't keep doing this. Yeah. And I gave these boxes to my mum and I said, hide them, get rid of them. And, that was a moment where traveling, to work for a very big presentation, which I've said on other podcasts, and I couldn't cover my skin that day, and I just cried the whole way there. And I called my mum, of course, and I just sobbed for an hour and a half on the train ride. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I just can't live like this. Mum, I just kept saying to my mum, I don't know how you did this till 35. At that point, I was 22 or something. I was like, I can absolutely not do this. And she was like, I feel for you, like I'm sorry, but you're so intelligent, you're so smart, you know a lot about skincare, more than most, you're very passionate. It clearly matters to you, why don't you think about doing something that's potentially going to help you or help someone else?
And was that the moment in time for you, and I was going to ask this question to go, was there a particular moment in time where you went,
I'm done, quit my job.
Yeah, I'm actually going to build something that solves the problem that I've experienced and had, and I'm going to say a problem, but it's a lot broader than that. But was that the moment in time, or was there something else that sticks in your head that goes, that's when I went from I'm not turning up to a corporate career, I'm actually going to create something myself?
Yeah, that was a big moment of the realization I didn't have to just follow the path of my mum. Yeah. And she kind of gave me that permission to be like, Priscilla, your pain can turn into purpose. Like you could do something with this. And at that point in time, I had no idea that that was really possible. I saw my mum be an entrepreneur. I saw that they're, business owners. But little old me, what do you mean? Like, how, like, that's possible? Like, what did, and I think, it was never spoken of before. And, like, I was saving for 4 years to buy a house with Jake, my now husband. And so it never...
And Total Legend as well.
And he's the best. So none of this conversation was ever, enough to think, oh, that is possible. I always thought that was something my mum did, not something that I could do.
Were there people at that stage, were there people that were saying, don't be safe, don't give it a risk? Did you have some negative people in that?
Definitely my auntie. I wouldn't say negative, just protective.
Yeah.
Because she also understands my mother. My mother is definitely like high risk, high reward type gal. And my auntie's just like, no, like, whatever you can spend within your means, whatever you have, that's all you've got, very much by the book of, being safe and comfortable.
And would you say this sort of, friendship circle as well? Because it's different. And that was a pretty young age, right, for you. Did any of your friends have businesses, and could they understand? I mean, no one understands at the start, right? But what was the sort of feedback in your friendship circle when you sort of said, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna do this?
Yeah, no one that I knew had a business.
Yeah.
And so I think that was also quite scary.
Yeah.
Like I say now, I've got 10 nieces and nephews. So I've got a pretty idea of what, kids are like.
Yeah.
And probably, maybe too much because, there's a lot involved. But I had no idea about business. I was so naive, and thinking about it now, I think it actually was a blessing.
Yeah.
Because if I knew what
You'd never do it.
if I knew what was in it, like, you're going to be eyes wide open, and you're going to probably take less risk. You're probably more calculated. You're going to probably say no to opportunities that could propel you forward. I was a yes person, and I just went for it when I made that decision. So, yeah, no one had businesses. And to be honest, no one actually knew until when it got closer to launch. I kept everything quite under wraps.
So were you working at the same time as you were building Bangn Body?
Yes.
Right. So you still had the corporate gig.
Yeah.
And then on the side, you'd made that decision and said, I'm actually going to take this on and do it. So, 9-to-5 job, and then you get home and do your other job.
Correct.
Building your business.
And that was for 3 years. And
so
yeah.
you did the dual role for 3 years.
For 3 years. And I didn't, but like I had that idea from the train with my mum. But then, of course, I had to speak to Jake because it was our money. It wasn't just my money. And we'd been saving for 4 years. So I think when I had that conversation with him, and he was so like positive and supportive and backed me from that very moment. He had been with me since 14. So he'd seen my skin journey and the pain it caused me. And he believed in my ability and my, like I could not, like he just felt based on the purpose behind the brand that I would make us win. Like I wouldn't do something to hopefully fix my skin. Like that was obviously the first thing.
Yeah.
Like if this product doesn't work for me, I'm not launching it into the world. And so I think he just had this undenying belief in me that I was going to create something with purpose that would make me truly happy and would help heal my skin once and for all. And yeah, he backed me. We invested every last dollar of our life savings into this business. I moved back home. He moved back home with my mum. It was,
With that, and I suppose this is probably this is something that I'm super passionate about and super passionate about talking about. We see a lot of individuals, both male and female, sort of get up and talk about the incredible success that they've had and how hard it's been and all these kind of things. And I think what sometimes is missed is the support that helps you get there. And I know that my wife and I always talk about this is very much around the support that she gives me to be the person that I am today. And I'm interested in, Jake, and I actually didn't realise you'd been together since 14. I thought it was a little bit longer. But, the role that a partner plays is crucial. And sort of talk to us about, some of that, that support that people don't see on Instagram. There's an emotional component to it, which is challenging. There's a financial element, right? And in my particular case, it was really about foregoing some of my wife's things that she wanted to achieve in her life to support me and the family and allow me to stretch forward. And this assumption that it's going to go around and she's going to get to that after we sort of do what we need to do. So interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe that I would not be where I am without him. He has believed in me more than I believed in myself because, when you have no idea what is in front of you and you're willing to risk it all, and it's not just my hard work of 4 years, it's his hard work of 4 years, and the fear that comes with that. And he was like, no, you've got this. We've got this. Like, I support you 100%. He worked for 3 years while I was still working. And then when I launched the business, the day of launch was my last day in my corporate job, or the day before was my last day in my corporate job. And he was like, you've got to go all in. And I was like, are you sure? Like, is that possible? He's like, I've got us. You know, you need to do this. We've got to go all in. We've already gotten this far. You got to go all in. And so from that moment, I knew, like, no matter what, I was all in. There was no backup. There was no plan B. I was going to make this work for us. And I said to him, like, you know, he was working for another family-run business. Like, he's been a chippy for 13 years. You know, he had his own career. And I said to him, how would you feel about one day coming into our family business? And he was like, oh, I would love that. And I said, well, you don't have to. I don't want to force you into something you don't want to do. He's like, no, I would love to support you, and I would love to be in our business. And I said, give me 2 years. Give me 2 years and you'll be in the business. And 2 years to the day he was in the business.
Legend.
Full time.
Love it.
And that was the biggest shift. That just propelled us forward even further, because he was in it. He could understand what I was going through. And I think that is the biggest aspect of a relationship, is someone backing you and supporting you. But when they understand the dynamics of what you go through, they can sympathize. And it's not the frustration of you're working too much. You know, it's, you know, you can't go to this function, or your sacrifices. Like, it's not an individual thing anymore. It becomes a team, and you feel you're capable of being able to do whatever you need because they support you 100%. There's no fight in the relationship.
Yeah.
Does it come with its own challenges, working so closely together personally and professionally?
Not really. I know it's really odd.
Should we also ask Jake the same question?
Yeah, ask him.
The next time we're on the golf course with you, we're going to go,
I
hey.
feel like there would be one thing. Like, we are so good at, you know, Jake's always been so respectful of me in this business. Like, he's never had tall poppy syndrome, or he's never had an ego, or he's just just lets me ride. And then when he came into the business, I so appreciate all the things that he does. I don't even have a clue about some of the tech stuff, the platforms, the warehousing side. You know, I'm just like, holy smokes. Like, knowing that I trust someone so wholeheartedly that's in the business, that is our livelihood, everything that I believe he believes, everything that like we share the same everything, fears, doubts, everything. So the willingness is there, and I'm so proud of the way that he's shown up for me in the business, you know, from a chippy, you know, to coming into a skincare brand with, you know, he's very techie. I'll give him that. He's always been very techie, but he's extremely resourceful, and that is one of his biggest qualities. Like, the other day, my sister's towel rail fell off the hand, I don't know what happened. She said someone broke it or something happened. She's like, oh, I've got an inspection tomorrow. Jake literally didn't have any tools, didn't have nothing, went to the kitchen, got a knife and fixed it for her. And she was almost in tears, being like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I was just so like, I don't know, it was weird. I kind of looked at him and I'm like, fuck, I love you. Like, I just am so proud of the man that he is. And I feel so blessed to have him as my life partner and my partner in business. And, you know, we really do respect each other's roles. And I think that's why we don't.
The clarity.
There's no what's the word? Like, crossing over. Like, we need to cross over to chat about certain things, especially around stock. That's probably the one thing that he will probably go, oh, Priscilla and stock, I just can't deal with it. Because I see the full picture of what that looks like. And he's like, oh, I'd rather be looking at it than looking for it. I'm like, that's nice. But we've got all these other factors that we've got to think about in terms of payments and what we need to do. So that's pretty much it. But no, I feel we have a lot of respect for each other, and we've got really good communication.
Love it. Yeah. Absolutely. And super important. I suppose let's kind of push into, you know, Bangn now. And, you know, we've got a couple of questions that we've prepared.
Sure.
I suppose one of the things is really, you know, and I'm probably thinking of something that we've sort of discussed in the past, which is where, you know, and as something smaller, an action has really catapulted the business sort of forward, and super keen to understand, you know, if you've had one of those moments in your business, and I'm sure that it's come with some stress and some emotion and bits and pieces like that, but describe one of those moments, because I know all businesses and all business owners that we talk to have 5 or 10 of those, and it's not necessarily that a lot of people see either. It's more on the day-to-day operations, it's something changes or something happens, or you come in with a new idea or a fresh set of eyes and go, hang on a minute, this isn't working the way I want it to work. Big change and move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good question. I feel like the word I want to use is clarity.
Mm-hmm.
When I got clarity around what it meant for me and what I felt was needed for our community, our customers, and just stripped everything, all the noise, got rid of everything, and just got really clear on the intention of why we do what we do and what that looks like to be able to communicate that to our customers.
Yep.
Everything changed.
Yeah, wow.
Because for so long, especially starting out the business, I was young, bringing COVID, we're propelled forward. There was so much happening around us. And so you look externally for the permission or ideas or, oh, they're doing that. Maybe we should have to do, we got to be there. If they're in America, we got to be in America. We got to be, and so there's all this noise that you think, but that doesn't feel right. It's not relevant, but they're doing that. And they seem like, so do we have to do that to be at that level? Like, just all this nonsense and this invisible clock that we're racing against to try and get to an end goal that puts enormous pressure, makes you do things that you haven't really thought through and could cost you a lot. And so I think when I just woke up one day, and I think it was after COVID, 3 or almost 4 years into the business, I just said to Jake, I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it our way. I'm listening to our customers and I'm doing it our way. He goes, great, let's do it. And he goes, but he was so confused. It was like, I thought we were doing that. I'm like, no, like I want to slow it down and get really clear on what is actually working and what is not working.
Do you think you get, and I mean, when there's sort of decisions in the business that you sometimes make emotionally and you sometimes make commercially, and it's this outside people have a view on what that kind of looks like, and when you start to take control back of what those decisions are and you start to be quite descriptive and directive with your business, you get back into a position of what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of. I'll use the word
back in control.
Back in control, and that control then allows you to dictate the proactive nature of growing your business. Because sometimes businesses, and you'd see this as well, is they're sort of growing, but they're sort of on this sort of treadmill-y path, and it's not a real, this is what I'm doing, this is what I value, this is how I want it to work, this is what I want it to look like, these are the types of people I want around me, and this is what's going to happen. And I think that sometimes it takes an event or something that goes, you know what, fuck, you wake up in the morning and go, hang on a minute. Nah.
Yeah.
Do you
intention, I think, is everything that you just said.
Yeah. Did you realise at the time that it would be such a pivotal change? Like, did you realise that at that point things were going to roll differently, or do you look back in hindsight and go, that was a pivotal time of change?
I think I knew in myself it needed to happen, and I think trusting your intuition.
Yeah.
And I've always believed, walk before you run. And I think I was forced to run, and the business was running away from me.
Yeah.
Especially when we launched and COVID, it just was, I call it the alien year. Like, it was just, we will never have that again. Like, it was insane, and I'll be forever grateful for it because it did propel the brand forward. What would have maybe took 3 years happened in 1 year. Yeah. And so I will never take that for granted. But what it did, it steamrolled this business where I had to get with it. I had to run with it, and then it was running away from me and I was sprinting behind it.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I correct this? I need to correct this because I want to build a business with intention and purpose and consideration.
Yep.
And with that, I can't do it if it's running away from me and I'm trying to play catch up. Yeah. And so when we decided to acknowledge aspects that weren't working, team, outsourcing things that, other people had more control over things that were actually moving the dial than we were.
Yep.
That's the wrong balance. Things that are really moving the needle for you, you need to have full ownership, or you need to understand every little aspect of that path or strategy or implementation for the execution.
Yeah, I mean, we hear this a lot in, and I had a conversation just yesterday with a person who owns a relatively large business, and their comment to me was, and we've talked about this on a previous podcast, is I feel like it's not I don't have control of the business, but it feels like I go into my business, I try to create the change, but it's so big. There's so many other people that are responsible for things that it's not really working. And their comment was, I feel like I lost my voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing because it happens so often, and it happens with and I would always say it happens after super extreme growth, because what happens is that you're reactive and you're just trying to plug the holes and fill the gaps and whatever. But then what happens is you get to a point and it's like, well, hang on a minute, this isn't okay.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting you say that, because I genuinely feel like I did as well.
Wow.
And it was really interesting post-COVID where the race started to, you could see the finish line from this craze of growth, where you could see the end of, okay, people are going to start to go into stores and life is going to become normal again. What does normal look like for Bangn? We've never been normal. We literally launched into a beast. You know, we went from, I think we made over $1 million in like the first 8 months or something. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, you know, you just don't see that or do, like, so we were just forced into this, it's a decent business. Like, okay, what the hell do we do now?
Yeah.
And so it was very interesting in that time, in that pivotal moment where I did feel like I lost my voice, because the integrity of the brand was lost based on the rush and the staff that we put in, like bums on seats to try, you know, and you just lose control of the truest form of why Bangn exists. And, you know, that came with a lot of change, and we restructured heavily. And in that moment, you know, I thought of this vision came into my head of what was happening, because we were on this fast moving trajectory, which was still growing at a pace, but now we needed to course correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so this vision I had was this, like a slingshot. And I talk about this slingshot effect, and I feel like I need to talk more about it, because it really does put things into perspective. And so at a moment where you're going, like, you're being forced to propel forward, and I'm going, I need to course correct. I don't have a voice. I feel like I've lost my business. I don't feel even comfortable in my own business.
Isn't that just crazy though? Like,
I started this business on my mum's living room
correct,
floor,
right? And
out of my truest form of my heart and soul.
Yeah.
And then, when you have other people's opinions, you have other people who take, you know, aspects of ownership, which you want to embrace them to do in a business. But
Correct.
then they're taking your business in a completely different path.
In the right way.
And so the slingshot effect is when something is forcing you to go back and course correct and think about the truest intentions of why you're doing it. And at that time, it feels uneasy. You feel like you're doing something wrong. You feel like you're going backwards. You feel like you're just losing control. But what it's getting you to do, it's getting you in a position of clarity and certainty for your intention of where you're at, and it will propel you further and faster than you ever thought possible once you've done that correction. Because if you just keep on this trajectory of noise and, you know,
hamster wheel,
you're going to lose it. You're going to completely lose it.
Yeah.
And so that was a massive pivotal moment in the business and in my life.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much went from 14 staff to none, 0, zilch. It was just me and Jake. And then our beautiful pack girls who have been our ride or dies since day dot.
Priscilla, was there a time then that you went, I don't know if I can keep going?
You just stole my question.
Oh,
I was
did
about to
I?
ask. It's okay.
Adam, do you want to ask the question?
Sure.
Don't let him, Priscilla.
Priscilla, was there a time? Sorry, I'm going to add on to that question.
Yes.
I can't keep going, and then the thought process of I'm going to go do something else.
Okay, I never got to that stage or I'm going to go do something else. I feel like I really feel I was born for this, even though you think, why the hell would any, like, it's such, unless you're a business owner, you understand it is this feeling of people like, why do we do it? But then we know why we do it. It's such a weird thing. So I never had the thought of, this isn't for me, I'm going to do something else. Like, I never had that thought, but I did have a thought when all that was going down, being like, okay, how am I going to make this work for me? Because I'm not happy right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be unhappy for the rest of my life in this business. And so that's when I fully took the reins back. And that's when I went back to my true DNA of my human DNA, my values, which is I am intentional and considerate, and I walk before I run, and I like knowing things. I like researching. I like planning for things. I like understanding the parameters, what I'm getting into, making executive decisions. That doesn't always work, and you have to get comfortable very quickly with the uncomfortable. But if I could just work this to be something that I'm satisfied. But what it also got me to understand was with all those people that were a part of the business, with the craze and the noise of COVID and the growth that we had, when everyone departed, I was doing all of their jobs. And yeah, okay, I was sleeping 3 hours a day, but I was still doing all their jobs. And I quickly realized what was effective, what actually moved the needle, what actually was needed, and what we could say bye to.
Yeah.
And what we could get rid of quite quickly. And for about 6 months, it was just me and Jake, and we cleaned shit out. We just got rid of nonsense and noise and got really clear on our intentions. Like even with our future formulations, we were working on for a couple of years, and I spent over $100,000, bought all the packaging, got the formula. That was before we now launched our gradual tan. But back in the day, I actually was formulating a gradual tan that never went to market. We were 2 months out from launch and I canned it because it just was not good enough.
Thanks for joining us for part one with interviewing Bangn Body and the beautiful Priscilla. Should we have a bit of a high five?
And stay tuned for part 2, which will be coming up. So subscribe to the podcast and we'll see you soon.